Welcome back, students. Today we are going to do another wonderful chapter called the Luncheon. In simple English, Luncheon means lunch. This chapter is written by William Somerset Maugham. He was an English playwright and a novelist, born in Paris, France. But a sad event took place in his life when he was 10 years old. He lost his parents, and therefore he had to move to England, where he was looked after by his uncle. Not a very caring and a loving man. So he had a very sad childhood. Moreover, the school that he went to over there did not bring about good experience in his life. The students out there teased him, made fun of him, because he was from France and therefore his English pronunciations were very poor. And due to that, he was so depressed that he developed stammering, and this remained till the end of his life. So you see, he did not have a good childhood. And all these sad events as a child, as a grown up, that remained, went on to be deeply rooted in his mind and heart. And later on, when he went on to become a writer, he transformed these sad events into humorous events. How wonderful, no? And this made him a very famous writer. So, whatever he wrote are all his own experiences transformed into humorous events. And the Luncheon also is one such chapter. It tells you about a young woman who is a fan of Maugham when he was a young man, not very famous, and who goes on to tell him that she wants to have a chat with him and a lunch with him. And what happens during their meeting is put forward in a very humorous way by Maugham. So let's find the humor in this chapter. I caught sight of her at the play, and in answer to her call, I went over during the interval and sat down beside her. It was long since I had last seen her, and if someone had not mentioned her name, I hardly think I would have recognized her. She addressed me brightly. Well, it's many years since we first met. How time does fly. We are none of us getting any younger. Do you remember the first time I saw you? You asked me to luncheon. Did I remember? So, at present, when the chapter opens up, Maugham is quite of a middle-aged man. He's already a famous writer by now, and he's watching a play. And during the interval, somebody comes and tells him that there is a lady waiting for him who says that she knows him. So he goes to meet this lady, and somehow he doesn't recognize her. But the lady tells him that many years back she had gone out with lunch with him. And that is when he starts recollecting when he had met this lady. So the rest part of the chapter is a flashback of how he met this lady. It was 20 years ago, and I was living in Paris. I had a tiny apartment and I was earning barely enough money. She had read a book of mine and had written to me about it. I answered thanking her, and presently I received from her another letter saying she was passing through Paris and would like to have a chat with me. But her time was limited, and the only free moment she had was on the following Thursday. And would I give her a little luncheon at Foyot's afterwards? Foyot's is a restaurant, and it was so far beyond my means that I had never even thought of going there. I had 80 francs, gold francs, to last me the rest of the month, and a modest luncheon should just not cost more than 15. If I cut out coffee for the next 2 weeks, I could manage well enough. So the writer Morgan remembers, oh yes, I had met this lady how many years back? 20 years back. And suddenly he remembers that she is the same lady who wrote to him letters saying that she was one of his fans who had read his book. And one day she was going to pass through Paris. So 20 years back, that is, she asked him if she could meet him to have a chat, just to have a slight talk. But she said since she was busy, she could meet him only on a Thursday. And she told him the place that she wanted to meet, and it was the Foyot's restaurant. Now, the writer was taken aback. The reason was Foyot is one of the most expensive restaurants in Paris. The writer himself had never gone there because it was beyond his budget. And he started wondering, he had just 80 francs with him. Francs is the currency of France. So he thought he has only 80. And he thought if he gave her a simple lunch, maybe it will not cost more than 15 francs. And so he thought he would sacrifice coffee for the next 2 weeks so that whatever money he spent on this lady, he could somehow manage his expenses for the next month. So he finally agrees to it. I answered that I would meet my friend at Foyot's on Thursday at 12:30. She was in appearance imposing rather than attractive, and she gave me the impression of having more teeth, white and large and even, than were necessary for any practical purpose. So the writer agreed to meet at Foyot. He met her, but he was surprised and shocked and taken aback. He had thought that his fan would be an amazing, beautiful looking lady. But here was a lady out, very imposing, which means dominating by nature, she appeared. Not attractive at all in appearance, that means not beautiful. Why? Because it looked she had more teeth than really required. Funny appearance of the lady. So let's see what happens. Okay. Here is the picture of the Foyot as it looks today. If you see the interiors, it is more like the Taj Hotel of Mumbai. And this is how it looked years back in black and white. So, to this great restaurant, the writer is going to take the lady. Let's do quickly the grammar. First paragraph, last line, she addressed me brightly, change the voice. I was addressed brightly by her. Next, you have the word remember. Change it to the noun form, it becomes remembrance. Next paragraph, you have the third line. She had read a book of mine. Change the voice. A book of mine had been read by her. A little lower down, Fayot's is a restaurant. Change it to interrogative. Isn't Fayot a restaurant? And a question mark. You have the word out there in the last paragraph, first line, answered. Change it to an adjective, it becomes answerable. So let's see what happens, class, further in this chapter. She was talkative, but since she seemed to talk about me, I was prepared to be an attentive listener. I was startled when the menu was brought, for the prices were a great deal higher than I had thought. But she reassured me. I never eat anything for luncheon, she said. Oh, don't say that, I answered generously. I never eat more than one thing. I think people eat far too much nowadays. Little fish, perhaps. I wonder if they have any salmon. So, the writer found her to be very talkative. But, he was very happy because she was talking about his book and about his work. So, he did not mind. But the moment the menu card was given, he was startled, shocked. Why? Because The prices were very exorbitant, very expensive, which he couldn't afford to. Looking at his expression, the lady immediately told him, "No, no, don't worry. I just have one dish for the lunch." So the writer was a little relieved. Morgan felt, thank God the lady is not attractive, but at least a little sensible. So she's going to have only one dish. That means he can afford to give her. And immediately the lady said she wanted to have salmon. Now, why was the writer shocked the moment she said salmon? Let's see. Well, it was early in the year for salmon and it was not on the menu. But I asked the waiter if there was any. Yes, a beautiful salmon had just come in. It was the first they had. I ordered it for my guest. The waiter asked if she would have something while it was being cooked. No, she answered. I never eat more than one thing. Unless you had a little caviar. I never mind caviar. Very funny now. Now, why was the writer surprised? Because salmon is a seasonal fish, and we all know when we order a non seasonal dish at a restaurant, the prices double up. So, over here, salmon was a non seasonal fish, and the lady was asking for it. Of course, the writer did not want to refuse because it would be quite embarrassing. So he asked the waiter to get it. And meantime, she ordered another expensive dish, and that is the caviar. Caviar are eggs of fish. Imagine the shock of the writer, no? The lady who said orders only for one lunch has already ordered for two dishes. Only one dish, she said, already two dishes have been ordered, that too very expensive. I knew I could not afford caviar, but I could not very well tell her that for myself, I chose the cheapest dish on the menu, and that was a mutton chop. I think you're unwise to eat meat, she said. I don't believe in overloading my stomach. She ate the caviar and she ate the salmon. She talked gaily of art and literature and music, but I wondered what the bill would come to when my mutton chop arrived. She took me quite seriously to task. Although he couldn't afford the dishes, he was still ordering because finally it was she was his fan. He could not make himself feel embarrassed. And he ordered for himself a very cheap dish, that is a mutton chop. And when he ordered that, she made a very, kind of a very funny face and she said, why are you having meat? Meat makes the stomach overloaded, makes the stomach full. Who is talking? See, isn't it? Very funny. And finally, when the dish came at the table, the lady ate both her dishes without even offering to the writer. And the moment the mutton dish came at the table, she gave such a look as though to tell him that you are eating more than me. Isn't it? So here you have the salmon in the picture and the caviar dish. So let us now mark the grammar quickly. You have the word very starting, the word is there talkative. It's an adjective. Change it into a verb. It is talk. Even noun is talk. So here you have talk playing the role of a verb as well as a noun. So keep that in mind. Okay. Then you have the word over there attentive. Opposite will be inattentive. A little lower down, you have I never eat more than one thing. Change it to affirmative. Answer will be I always eat only one thing. That's your affirmative. Go a little further, you have in that paragraph beautiful, verb will be beautify, and noun will be beauty. So, beautiful is an adjective here. Okay. So, beautify will be a verb, beauty will be your noun. Next paragraph, you have the word new. Noun form will be knowledge. Next paragraph, last, you have she ate the caviar and she ate the salmon. Change it to a simple sentence. Answer is she ate the caviar and the salmon. So remember, in simple sentence, you should have only one verb. So I have done away with the other verb, but the conjunction has remained. Here the conjunction is joining two nouns. So it is converted into a simple sentence. So let us see what happens further in the chapter in our next video. Let us see how much more she is going to order and increase the bill of the poor writer. So goodbye class. Meet you in the next video. God bless you.